Hello and welcome to a new video. I figured since we are just entering to July, I thought I would do the mid-year book freakout tag. I am going to go ahead and link the channel I watched it on. I don't know who the original creators of this are, but if I figure that out, I'll link it below. I watched it on Allison channel and a couple other. I love watching these booktube mid-year freakout tags, so I will link some of the ones that I watched below if you want to go check out some other people's tags. Just some stats. I've read 52 books this year so far. 17 of those were in the month of June, which I'm so happy about. I don't think I've ever read that many books in a month. And my goal this year is 90, so I am a little bit over halfway, so about where I'm supposed to be. My Goodreads says I'm like 5 books ahead of schedule, which is crazy to me. I'm never ahead of schedule on my Goodreads, so this is working out well. Without further ado, let's get into the questions. I believe there are 13 of them, and I have the answers prepared on my phone and some of the books pulled out, so let's get started. So the first question is best book you've read so far this year, and I physically could not pick one. I had a hard enough time downsizing it to the ones I answered, but this is my best books of the year so far stack. First off, I have Last Sacrifice by Michelle Mead. This is the finale in the Vampire Academy series. I read the entire Vampire Academy series in the first half of this year, and oh my god, it was so good. I don't know how I didn't read this series for so long. I love Rose. I love Dimitri. I love all the characters. It was so good, and this finale was just... it was incredible. The scenes between Rose and Dimitri, so good. And I so badly want to pick up the Bloodline series. I just haven't been able to find copies of them yet. But yeah, this was incredible. 5 out of 5 stars. More recently, I read Crown of Midnight by Sarah J. Maas. This is the second book in the Throne of Glass series. Absolutely adored it. There's so much happening in this series, and I love it so much. This was also 5 out of 5 stars. Also recently, I read Chain of Gold by Cassandra Clare. This is the first book in this new series following the Shadowhunters. We are looking at the children of Will and Tessa and all the other characters from the Infernal Devices. We're now following the next generation. There is also Cordelia Carstairs, who is a distant cousin of Jem Carstairs. And a lot happened in this one. It's not my favorite Shadowhunters book for sure, but it has the potential to set up for so many incredible things coming in this series. I really love Cordelia, and I really love Matthew Fairchild, and I think it's going to be a really good series, and I cannot wait to see the marriage, wedding situation happening in the next one. It's probably going to blow up in all our faces, but it's going to be a fun ride. Lastly, my other favorite was Capturing the Devil by Carrie Maniscalco. This was the finale to the Stalking Jack the Ripper series, and it delivered. It was so crazy. The mystery itself, really good, really creepy, like total Criminal Minds episode, and then the romance in this one was just top notch, so good. There was drama, there was a wedding drama. It was so good. I read this book, I think in January, but like the whole time I was just on the edge of my seat, like, what is going on? It was impeccable. Number 2 is the best sequel you've read so far this year, and I'm kind of cheating because a lot of these books are going to double dip because these are like basically all my favorites. And the best sequel was by far Capturing the Devil by Carrie Maniscalco. This was, like I said, the finale, so it was the last sequel, and it still had that magic of the first one. Magic might not be the right word, but like the horror and the terror and the mystery of the first one, it still held that true. And Audrey Rose is just such an incredible character. She handles herself so well. She's confident and smart, but she's also soft and a little bit broken sometimes, and she's just so good. And Thomas Cresswell, my boy, I love him. I just absolutely love this book, and it was the perfect finale to this series. Number 3 is a new release that you haven't read yet, and I don't actually own a copy of this one, but it is Crescent City by Sarah J. Maas. I, at first, was hesitant to read this one. Like, I didn't really want to read it because I love Sarah J. Maas's books, but it was an adult fiction and I just wasn't sure if I would like it. But after seeing all the reviews come in, I'm pretty sure I will love it. I haven't bought it yet, and I don't know if or when I will, but I definitely do want to read this one, whether I buy it or rent it, because it looks incredible. I barely know what it's about, but Sarah J. Maas wrote it. I'm sure there's some great romance, great fantasy, and great adventure, and I really hope I get the chance to pick it up this year or next. Number 4 is also a book I don't own yet because it is the most anticipated release for the second half of the year. And let's just be real, if this is not everyone's most anticipated release, I don't know. Mine is Midnight Sun by Stephanie Meyer. I cannot put into words how excited I am for this book because, I mean, I get it. It's the same story as Twilight, but that's what it's supposed to be. I'm so excited to see things from Edward's perspective because I think it's going to offer a lot of understanding into his character, and maybe, just maybe, a couple people will stop hating on Edward Cullen so much. I love Edward Cullen, and nothing's going to change my mind on that, but I just am so excited. And Stephanie Meyer has described that he is a very, like, anxious overthinker, and I'm like, me too, so I'm so excited to see his thought process and see how he feels when he meets Bella and everything that happens in Twilight. I'm super intrigued to see how he is thinking about the stuff that happens with James at the end. It's just going to be super intense. Also, she talks about how in Midnight Sun, she's finally able to fill that gap that actually, like, the stuff that happens in the meadow, because in Twilight, she wrote from, like, just about after the meadow to the end, and then went back to the beginning and wrote chapter 1 through to the meadow, and never really filled in that middle part. And in this one, she's talking about how Edward will have his perspective of what happens in the meadow, and I'm so excited to see that scene. I feel like there's so much discussion and talking between them that really could have built the relationship that we didn't see in Twilight, and we don't see it in the movie either. It's just like that montage with the music playing, so I'm very excited to see that scene. Very excited to see everything. I love Edward Cullen. It's going to be great. I'm so excited. And do expect a reading vlog for that one, obviously. Will I read it in like 24 hours? It's probably going to happen like that. So number 5 might come as a surprise to some people, but number 5, the prompt is biggest disappointment of the year so far. And I hate to say it, but it was The Ballad of Songbirds and Snakes by Suzanne Collins. Did I love the writing in this book? Yes. Do I still not understand the goddamn purpose of this book? Yes. Why did she write this? What did we gain from this story? Nothing. Absolutely nothing. We learned some stuff about the, like, earlier Hunger Games, which was really cool, but did it have to be told from Snow's point of view? Did he even have to be here? I don't think so. And I know it's a villain story. It's not like I expected to grow to love Snow by any means, but, like, maybe it would have been interesting to paint him as, which I think is what the advertising did. They're like, oh, who Snow was before he was evil and, you know, blah, blah, blah. But he was evil as a kid, too. He was such a jerk. And, like, the love story in this one was so ridiculous, unbelievable. He did not love her. I don't think she loved him. It was just, like, Stockholm Syndrome a little bit. Like, I did not like this book. I'm so sorry. I was so excited. I pre-ordered it. I don't pre-order a lot of books anymore just because I don't, but, like, this was not great. This was not great. And I really, really wanted to love it, but it was just, it wasn't for me. And, like, if she comes out with anything else in the Hunger Games world, I will absolutely read it. I'd be really excited. Because this book, instead of this book, we should have got a Haymitch story. And I will harp on that for the rest of forever because Haymitch deserves a backstory. Snow didn't deserve a backstory. It offered nothing to me. I have no further understanding of his character other than he's been a jerk his whole life. So I feel even less bad about him dying in the end. So yeah, it was a weird one. Wasn't a big fan. Number 6, on the other hand, is the biggest surprise, and this one is actually sort of a backlist book. I chose Snow Like Ashes by Sarah Rosh. This is a book that has been on my TBR for years, and I don't remember exactly where I bought it. I think I bought it used somewhere or something. I have no idea. It's been on my shelf for so long, and I always looked at it. It was like, oh, it's, you know, a fantasy, blah, blah, blah. I'll get to it eventually. It's a series. And I started following the author on TikTok, and her videos just were so cute and so fun, and she does some writing tip videos and just seems really nice. I'm like, oh, I should pick up her book. And so I finally read it, and it was so surprising in the turns that it took. It's not at all what I expected from this fantasy book, and I didn't expect to love it so much. I definitely will be reading the other 2 books in this series this year. In the end, I think it took such an interesting turn, and I can't wait to see where the rest of the series goes. It's nowhere near what I expected when I went into this book, and I'm very excited to explore more of this really unique magic system and see what happens to these characters. Number 7 is a favorite new author. I actually don't have any of this author's books physically. I rented them all as audiobooks at the library and absolutely adored them. The author is Jasmine Gilroy, which I'm sorry if I'm saying the last name wrong. She wrote The Wedding Date, The Proposal, The Wedding Party, and Royal Holiday, and then her upcoming book is Party of Two. I actually think it came out last week. I loved the first 4. I have read them all. I think The Wedding Date is probably my favorite still. Royal Holiday was kind of a miss for me, but I just absolutely adore her writing style. She balances friendship and romance and like great chemistry between characters, great humor, and also great steamy scenes, and like she's just such a good writer. I picked her books up after seeing her on lists for Black authors to go ahead and check out, and a lot of the Black author lists right now were like a lot of serious like adult fiction type stuff, and I don't read a lot of adult fiction, and I know if I tried to pick it up I wouldn't get through it. There were a lot of great romance recs out there too, so I picked up these ones and absolutely adore them, and she's definitely going to be an auto-buy author for me from now on, or at least an auto-read author I should say, and I'm so excited for anything she's going to be publishing in the future. For some reason, she's an author that I have picked up in bookstores quite a lot, and like looked at the cover and like, oh, this is a cute cover, and then I would like never went and got it, probably because paperbacks are $16 and I cannot justify that. But I am very excited to read whatever she comes out with in the future, and definitely I'm glad that I picked her up, and I just really love this series. Number 8 is Newest Fictional Crush, and I am gonna go with Kaat from the Throne of Glass series by Sarah J. Maas. First off, I am going off the pronunciation guide on how to say his name, but that name just does not flow off the tongue. I do not like it. But as a character, I love him. He is so good. I've only read the first 2 of Throne of Glass, so I cannot speak to the rest of the series, even though I think he does continue to be a character that everyone loves. In fact, I think a lot of people love him more than they like Selena, which is fair. I really liked him, and even more so in Crown of Midnight. I think he just is he's got so much heart, but doesn't show it a lot of the time, but we're able to see into his mind quite a lot within these books when it switches perspectives, and I just really have grown to love him. He's so nice and good to Selena, and especially in Crown of Midnight when they're kind of together for like a hot second. I just love him. I love him. I want to protect him. If he does not get a satisfying ending by the end of the series, I will be deeply upset. I think, don't quote me on this, I think Tower of Dawn follows him specifically. I don't know if it's a prequel situation or if he just has a separate story in there. I have no idea. I am going blind into this Throne of Glass world. I just am picking up whichever book is supposed to be next, I think. I don't know. But I love him, and he deserves the world. Number 9 is a new favorite fictional character. There are a lot that I could have chosen. Anyone from the Vampire Academy series, Selena, Kaat, like so many characters. But I went with Cordelia Carstairs from Chain of Gold. She is the main protagonist in this story. She is who is on the cover, and I just grew to really love her. She is really cunning and smart, but also so kind, and I just really like the interaction. There's one about like halfway or earlier in this book where she's talking to Anna Lightwood, and Anna sort of determines that Cordelia wants to be the hero, and if you're going to be the hero, you have to participate and fight and everything that Anna was talking about. But I think she really is the hero of this story. I think she is just super strong, super badass. She has Cortana, so like, she's obviously awesome. And then I just love how much she cares for James and for Lucy and just for everyone that she has met in this world in London, and I'm very, very excited to see how the next one plays out. Number 10 is a book that made you cry, and this is a reread, like a 5th time reread. Who's surprised? I chose Harry Potter and the Goblet of Fire. There's not a lot of books that I cry in, if I'm being honest, but Goblet of Fire is 100% one of those. I reread this in June. There's just something about Cedric that I cannot handle. When I watched the movie and Harry comes back from the Portkey and he has Cedric's body and his dad is screaming and that, like, the trumpets are playing. I don't know if they're trumpets. I know nothing about instruments, but, like, the band is playing. I just cannot take it. I cry every time. And I have seen Goblet of Fire a lot of times, countless times. I have read Goblet of Fire like at least 5 times, and I cry every time. And like, I finished Goblet of Fire, it was like 1 in the morning. I was reading the illustrated copy and I was just crying. I'm like, why? I know what's gonna happen. I know that he goes, Cedric dies, and then the ghosts come out of the wand too, because that makes me cry too. And I cried again. So Goblet of Fire is my cry book. Of all the books that I read for the first time this year, I don't think any have made me cry. Number 11 is a book that made you happy, and I am choosing Conventionally Yours by Annabeth Albert. I listened to this on audiobook last month, and it just made my nerdy heart so happy. It follows these 2 boys. They are tabletop gamers, and they're part of this team that's on like a YouTube streaming channel, and they're pretty popular, and they are traveling to this convention in Las Vegas, I believe, and they are going to be competing in one of the tabletop competitions, and they're both competing for the same prize. And at first they really hate each other because they just have these preconceived notions of each other, but then they are forced to travel together to the convention, and it ends up, by the halfway through, it ends up being just the 2 of them traveling together, and we've got a lot of really fun tropes like that, just like that forced proximity, and they end up realizing they don't hate each other as much as they thought, and they end up really falling for each other, and I just absolutely adored it. First off, the romance, perfect slow burn, and they were so perfect together, and I really, really loved them. And it also just brought in like the nerdy aspects of them in a really cool way. It wasn't overwhelming with all these different references, like sort of the gatekeeping kind of nerdy, but I really loved how they spoke about the fandoms they were in and the convention circuit, and how they had sort of a found family there in that way, and I really, really loved it. It's what I wanted like Geekarella by Ashley Poston to be. I read that one like 2 years ago now, but that is another book that followed like conventions like that, except I did not like the way that book really did it. I didn't like that book at all, but this one was different and had the same idea with conventions and like geeky things that you like, but it just was handled in a way that I liked a lot better, and it just made me feel so happy the whole time. Even though I don't play any tabletop games, I don't know how to play any tabletop games, I have no patience for board games, let alone like full campaigns of like Dungeons and Dragons, but I really loved it anyway, and I cannot wait for the more books that she's going to be putting into this series. The next question is the most beautiful cover of a book that you have bought or received, and I narrowed it down to 2. First off, Chain of Gold by Cassandra Clare. I know I've talked a lot about this in this video already, but like this cover is so gorgeous. The way the leaves are like in Cordelia's hair and her dress and Cortana, it's just such a beautiful cover, and like the oranges and reds and like sort of like fall aesthetics of this cover are just so, so beautiful. Cover of the next one, Chain of Iron, has Lucy on the cover, and that one looks just as beautiful, and I cannot wait for that book, even though it is like 10 months away, but I'm so excited to dive deeper into this story. And Cassandra Clare's covers are literally always my favorite. I think she's had the same artist for quite a while, and he is just doing incredible things with these covers. I absolutely love them, how they use the live models and then sort of put the art on top of it. They're just so beautiful. The other book I chose for a beautiful cover is All the Stars and Teeth by Adeline Grace. I have not read this one yet. It is probably on my TBR for this month. It depends on how fast I get through all my Sarah J Maas books I want to read. But I just love the colors here and like all the little details, and it's just so pretty. It's a simpler cover, but the font in this shade of blue is probably like one of my absolute favorite colors, probably because it's like TARDIS blue. But I just really, really loved it, and it has a beautiful spine. It's got like these metallic on the title of the naked spine, and it's just so gorgeous, and I really want to get to this soon. It's definitely one on the priority of like my summer TBR. And the last question is books that you want to read by the end of the year. And for me, I'm gonna go with Heir of Fire by Sarah J Maas, and not just Heir of Fire, but the rest of the Throne of Glass series. This is the third book. I still need, I don't even know how many books are in this series. There is Assassin's Blade that I need to buy, Queen of Shadows, Empire of Storms, Tower of Dawn, Kingdom of Ash. That's a lot of books in this series. But if possible, I would like to finish this series by the end of the year. I feel like I'm really late to the party when it comes to Throne of Glass, but I'm here now, and I'm having a great time because this series is just so good, so much fun. It's violent and scary and like so exciting at the same time, and I just really like Selena. And I know this series kind of has a mixed bag of opinions, but I am really enjoying it. It's everything I love in a fantasy book. There's great romances, although I hear the romance starts to change up in this one, which I'm excited to finally see who I think she ends up with in the end. Selena, at first I wasn't sure how I felt about her, but she is great, sassy. She does kill a lot of people when I think maybe she needs to calm down a little bit, but I love her, and I cannot wait to see where her story goes, especially knowing the information that is revealed at the end of Crown of Midnight. It's going to be so good, and I'm so excited. So that is my mid-year book freakout tag, and I really hope you liked it. I had a lot of fun. I love looking back at the books I've read. I've already read 52 books this year, and I'm so proud of that because it's crazy. I'm so glad that I am able to read so much in one year. I think audiobooks play a big part in that. I listen to a lot of audiobooks, and I love listening to audiobooks, so I hope I can read even more next year. I hope I make it to 90 this year, and then maybe next year I'll finally make a goal of 100. I don't know, we'll see. But I hope you enjoyed this video. Like, share, subscribe, all that fun stuff, and I'll talk to you guys next time. Bye!